the question that we've been asked is how do I do, say, a real estate matter in uLaw? And I'm going to walk you through. This is going to take, like, say, a couple of minutes, but it's worthwhile doing that. So to do that, you would go into the contacts menu by clicking on the contacts panel. To add a new client, the process is you click on new contact and add him as a client. Let's say it is Thomas Jerkins. Let's assume his address is 81 King Street, Ottawa, Ontario. Let's say his postal address is K2K 526 and his country is Canada. And you can enter his phone number. And hit the Save and Matter button. Once you hit the Save and Matter button, we will go ahead and create a matter for Thomas, which will be, say, purchase of new house. You'll click on the code and you can make it real estate. Okay. You can also put notes, property is a waterfront property at 79 Queen Street, and hit the apply and save. Now in real estate, there are several things that happen. Like, for example, a lot of money transactions actually happen in trust, and at the end of it you will have an invoice that you will generate, and then you will transfer some of the funds to your general account as your payment. So let's do that. So now the first and foremost is, you say you're negotiating with your client, and you want to charge, say, $500 for this matter. So with HST, you're going to charge him $565, and you also realize that there's going to be, say, $100 title that you're going to purchase for that. So you can ask him, like, hey, we have a fixed cost of $500, and with HST that'll come to $565. We also need to buy $100 of title. So we're going to take a retainer from you for $665. So you can say new retainer, $665, and you can take the check number and put it in trust and do an apply. That basically what it does is it puts the money in trust and shows you that you have that much as a retainer. Now, as days pass by, whenever you're going to do it, to purchase the title from trust, you have a couple of choices. You can say new disbursement, because purchasing of the title is actually a disbursement, and you can actually use the option either you paid from general or trust. Now, when would you use the option paid from general? You would use that when you actually used your company credit card or you actually paid from your general bank account. If you didn't do that and you actually paid from trust, you would actually use this one. You can say paid from trust, and let's say in this case it's $100, and check number was, say, 668, and you can say title, there you go, land title search fee. Okay, and you can do a payment. Okay, now what uLaw does is immediately reduces the retainer to $565 and tells that 665 is what is there. Now at this point, say the bank actually gave you, say, $100,000 for purchase of this property. You need to put that in trust, so you can click on action button, and you can say in deposits you have three options: the new retainer, which is the same as this button. You can use the settlement if it was a settlement, or if it's any other payment, like for example a deposit from the bank, you can use this other payment deposit in trust, and you can take the amount. So let's say it's $95,000. Okay, and then the check number of the bank is very important, and you can deposit it. Okay, now at some point you will be paying this money, 95,000, or maybe it's only 90,000, and then 5,000 you need to pay for something else. And then what you can do is you can actually pay that by doing an action and withdrawal from trust. You can say pay out from trust, and you can say 90,000, right? And you can say maybe you did an an electronic fund transfer to, you know, whoever the property, like let's say assume it was Minto Realtor. Okay, so you transferred 90,000 to Minto for buying that property, so you can do that as a payment. And there's still $5,000 of that amount that's still left, and maybe you have to actually have a disbursement that again you did from trust. So you can say new, paid from disbursement, and this time I'm going to assume like, you know, $5,000 for, you know, and you give a trust check. But even here you have an option to actually choose electronic fund transfer if you actually did one. You can say the reason is, you know, title purchase, and do a payment. Finally, you know, at some point you want to be paid for this matter, so you can put a flat rate. You can say like, you know, land purchase deed. You can say action, make it a flat rate, and put your rate here, which is $500, and hit the save button. At this point, you know, there's no balance, so you can raise yourself an invoice and send this to your client. You can say, hey, everything is paid for. You can do an invoice and raise an invoice. Now, when you raise an invoice, you will get an email saying that you can transfer your fee of $565 and complete the transaction. So when you get that email, so let's first you know, look at the invoice. The invoice is, so the invoice is here. It says like land purchase deed, $500, your HST, and then choose all the, you know, the trust activities, like, you know, $665 of retainer, the $100 that was done for, you know, the search, then 95,000 that came in from the bank, the 90,000 that you paid to Minto, and then the 5,000 that you used to actually, you know, purchase the title. And it gives you a summary of how things were, and you can even place your signature and be done with it. Now, to end this transaction, what you would do is you would click on the action button, and you'll do trust invoice payment transfer, and you will withdraw this $565 which was left in trust and put it into your bank account, right? Maybe you even did an electronic fund transfer, and you can do a transfer. Okay, now you can download Form 9A for that. Okay, so now in accounts, what I'm going to do is I'm going to generate the two ledgers, the trust, which is for Thomas, and I'll also generate the general ledger, and we will compare the two. So I'm going to keep the two ledgers next to each other and do a comparison and see what happened. So $665, the first retainer that you took, was deposited in trust. That was the balance. The $100 that you paid straight out of trust, you know, as your disbursements is right showing here. The balance reduced to $565. Then this huge deposit that you got from the bank, the check, you know, it made the balance $95,565. Then this $90,000 check that, you know, you wrote from trust to the realtor to buy the property, and then that much was left. The $5,000 that you actually paid for the disbursement to actually buy the title, and that much was left. Then you invoiced the client, and then you did the transfer. So that means the client owed you nothing, and the trust balance actually came down to zero. So to summarize, for you know, a real estate account, so you will be using the events to actually invoice the client. You will be using the retainer for the money that you would have got initially from the client. You would be using, you know, either settlement or other payment deposit based on what you actually got, you know, to deposit into trust. And similarly, you would use settlement payout or other payouts, you know, for the payouts. And for disbursement, if you paid from general, you would use that and you would invoice and recover the money. And you would use trust if you actually paid directly from trust.